You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
A goal that I have for Syracuse football, I guess from an individual standpoint, is to have a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard wide receiver. I do think it's possible. Syracuse did it last year. It was with LaQuint Allen rushing and Jackson Meeks receiving. And they nearly did it in 2022. Sean Tucker went for over 1,000 rushing yards, and Oronde Gadsden fell just short of 1,000 receiving yards. He had 975 in 2022. Now, similar to last segment, if Syracuse could have a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard receiver, not only could it help them in 2025, but it's possible that both those players could have multiple years of eligibility, meaning they could be back for Syracuse in 2026. And again, it's also possible that one of those players plays so well that they decide to enter the NFL draft, foregoing extra years of eligibility. And again, to that I say, that is a good problem to have. So who could be the 1,000-yard rusher for Syracuse football? Well, this one is tricky because I mentioned in the running back podcast how I think Syracuse football could do running back by committee between Yasin Willis and Will Nixon. That would mean that neither running back, at least to start, would be a quote-unquote bell cow back. And it kind of need to be a bell cow back in order to get to 1,000 yards because you need the rushing attempts to be able to get to 1,000 yards. Each would probably need a minimum of 200 carries to get to 1,000, but it's more like they'll probably need to get to at least 225 to get to 1,000 yards. Are either of them going to be able to get that many carries this upcoming season? I do think it's possible, but if they go by committee, that won't happen. And so Syracuse most likely won't have a 1,000-yard rusher. But I do think there's an outside shot it does happen, especially if Fran Brown and Jeff Nixon say to Yasin Willis or Will Nixon, you're our guy, you're going to be the workhorse running back for our team, and you're going to get the ball 225, 250 times on the ground. Well, then Syracuse is in business for a 1,000-yard rusher. As far as 1,000-yard receiver, I think this is far more likely to happen. I think it's got to be one of Darrell Gill or Johntay Cook, maybe even an outside shot. It's Justice Ross Simmons. But I think Gill is the most likely, and he does have multiple years of eligibility, which is kind of nice. I think with Darrell Gill and Johntay Cook specifically, they each, in my opinion, have more of a probability to hit a 1,000 yards. And it's mainly because I don't think they need the volume, the normal volume to do it. Last season, Darrell Gill led the ACC with over 18 yards per catch. Johntay Cook, in his career, albeit in limited a number of catches, he averages 17 yards per catch. That means in order for either of them to hit 1,000 yards, if they can maintain a similar average yards per catch, which might be hard to do, but if you can maintain a similar yards per catch, they would only need around 60 receptions to reach 1,000 yards. And hey, there's enough to go around for one of these receivers to get 60 catches. In fact, one of them will likely get to 60, probably Darrell Gill at minimum. For context, Jackson Meeks, who was Syracuse's 1,000-yard receiver last year, he needed 78 catches to do it, and he barely got over 1,000. It's no shade to Jackson Meeks. The point being is that if you can stretch the field more, you don't need the ball as much to be able to hit 1,000 yards. So rounding out this segment, I do think there is an outside shot, and that's why I'm saying this is a goal for Syracuse football from an individual standpoint, that they have a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard wide receiver.